What is a power training circuit, or what is power circuit training? Today we want to talk about what is a power training circuit, what are the characteristics of circuit training, what are the characteristics of power training, and we put the pieces together, circuit training and power training. So what is a power circuit training or power training circuit? Let's talk about the difference between a circuit training and a station training. If you look at the classical literature of sports science, basically they distinguish between circuit training and station training. Let's use an example. So you can see here in the background we have these 4 racks. So if we imagine each rack would be a station, that would mean we do the exercise on rack 1 and we do it for, let's say, 3 sets of 10 repetitions, which is the usual rep and set range most people use. Anyway, so we do all our reps and sets on this one station, and we move to the next station. Same thing, all reps, all sets on that one station, and we move on to the next one until we have completed the 4 stations. A circuit training, however, is we do the given reps on that one station. So let's say we do 10 reps. We move on to the second station, do our 10 reps, move on to the third station, 10 reps, move on to the fourth station, and again do 10 reps. So that's basically the difference between a station training and a circuit training. So station training, again, finish all your reps and sets on one station. Circuit training, you do your first set on one station, the next set on the other station, and so on, and then repeat that. So what is power training? I've spoken about power training before. Basically, if we look at strength training as the ability to overcome resistance, power training is the ability to overcome resistance as fast as possible. And the physical formula of power is force multiplied by velocity. So it's not only how heavy you can lift, but it's also how fast you can lift. And then not only how fast you can lift, how fast you can execute a movement, because that movement can also be a body weight movement. So if we look at power training, basically we have a broad range of intensities from 0% of the 1 RM until 70-80% of the 1 RM, and different efforts. All in all, power training is always executed as explosive as possible, but we have different efforts. So we have a plyometric effort that is characterized by the stretch shortening cycle. We also have a ballistic effort, which is characterized by that the X object goes into a free flight at the end of the movement. So that could mean if we're doing a jump that we're going into a free flight, so leaving the ground. That can be a throw where the ball is leaving the hands and then goes into a free flight. And we have the normal power effort, the dynamic effort, where intensities are higher and the concentric phase is executed as fast as possible. So talking about power training, and especially having in mind that we want to do power circuits or power training circuits, we also need to think about the energy system that is involved in power training. We have different energy systems for power development. The most important energy system is the ATP-CP system that gives energy for up to 6 to 10 seconds. And thinking about maybe a power training circuit, and we'll talk about that in following episodes, that is targeted towards the ability to last power training efforts. We also can think about the phosphagen system, which leaves energy for 20, 30, 40 seconds. So important here, if we think about the energy systems, that also determines the duration of the effort. It also looks at work-rest ratios, and it also looks at rest periods between the sets. So one more question that stands out always if we do power training circuits or power circuit training is, what exercises should we do? So now from what I've just mentioned is, the exercises need to be appropriate for the power training, which means you need to be able to execute that exercise. And also thinking about circuits where you want to go from one one circuit to the next. It's good to think about an exercise that doesn't need to take too much preparation into account, so that you can basically start the movement, finish the movement, and move on quickly. So now how to put the pieces together. So we talked about station training versus circuit training. So now we know what circuit training is. Basically you finish one set at one station and move on to the next one, finish this one, and then move around in a circuit way. And we also talked about power training as the ability to perform that movement that you're doing as explosive as possible with a broad range of intensities. We talk about that later in other episodes when we talk about the design of a power training circuit. So power training, the ability to execute movements explosive. The exercise selection, where you want to choose exercises that allow you to set up quickly and finish quickly, which will then allow you to move from one station to the next station very, very quickly. And also the energy systems that are important for power training, because the longer the duration, and this is where I think it goes wrong most of the times, the longer the duration, it's very difficult to justify that it's a power training anymore. Yeah, so it needs to be short in duration and high in intensity. So to wrap it up, what is a power training circuit? Basically, it's a circuit where you move from one station to the next one. It combines the elements of power training, explosive movements for a short duration of time, and with intensities from 0% of the 1 RM to 70-80% of the 1 RM, as well as the appropriate work to rest ratios.